Somebody's praying, I can feel it. Somebody's praying for me. Mighty hands are guiding me to protect me from what I can't see. Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Somebody's praying for me. Angels are watching, I can feel it. Angels are watching over me. There's many miles ahead till I get home. Still I'm safely kept before your throne. Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Your angels are watching over me. I've walked through barren wilderness, and my pillow was a stone, and I've been through the darkest caverns where no light had ever shone. Still I went on, 'cause there was someone who was down on their knees. And Lord, I thank you for those people praying all this time for me. Somebody's praying, I can feel it. Somebody's praying for me. Mighty hands are guiding me to protect me from what I can't see. Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Somebody's praying for me. Mighty hands are guiding me to protect me from what I can't see. Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Somebody's praying for me.
Amen. That's so true. I'm coming to you from the car. Had a couple places to be this morning, and Brother Dale's in there. He's our treasurer. He usually does the financial report, so kind of like to be alone when I do the devotional. But I had a thought here. We're talking about Jesus, and I was thinking about this is, I guess, Jesus part 17. I was thinking about Jesus, and the next chapter is John chapter 6. We were reading in John chapter 5. I was thinking about when he was feeding those 5,000. There's a lot in that story about him feeding the 5,000. I like what one of the disciples said. They said that this money that we have is not sufficient to pay for all these people. He said, "What are these among so many?" But at the end of the verse, Jesus, when he gets done feeding, he does the miracle, feeds 5,000 plus women and children. He does that miracle, but when he gets done, he says something that's the part of the miracle of the story we hardly ever talk about. He said, gather up the fragments. And John chapter 6 says, gather up the fragments. And fragments is something that is basically like a leftovers or something that is thrown away. You just throw it away. It's you go to a buffet and eat. I love to eat Chinese buffet. It's one of my favorite buffets over any buffet. But sometimes you get some chicken's too chewy, you can't finish it. You feel like you're going to choke on it, it's so chewy. And so just put it in a napkin, or just leave the remainder on the plate, and it gets thrown away. At least I hope it gets thrown away. I'm assuming it does. I don't know these days and times if people are gathering up the fragments and putting them back in the buffet. I don't know. But fragments is something that's thrown away. And I was thinking about the people that we reach. There's certain people that come to our church that most churches wouldn't want. They wouldn't want them. I'm thinking of somebody that's been visiting recently that most churches would not want that person in the church. I'm thinking of a couple people that's been visiting recently that they'd say, you can't come here. You're not dressed right. You can't come here because you ain't got no money. You can't come here. We're not gonna pick you up. I know of a man that I used to work in the bus ministry with. He came down to where my home church was, where Preacher Clyde was pastoring. The reason why he came down there because the church he was in, they told him that he couldn't pick up kids no more. And so he left his church, and that's how we got to know each other. He got involved in the bus ministry. First week he got there in church, he was involved. But there's people all over that the world don't want them. The world will take them and suck them up, throw them away. Churches don't want them. They're fragments. They just thrown away. And if you don't believe me, I can think of a personal testimony of myself. Me and my wife. My wife could tell you when we were dating. I've told the story a couple times. But there was a lady in the church that told her, said you ought to get rid of him. Just like throwing away a fragment. You ought to get rid of him. That's what the lady told my wife. Well, it kind of discouraged me. I didn't want to go back to that church. But you know what? I did go back. And I just ignored what she said. And I ended up getting saved there. And I thank God for it. But I'm thinking about the fragments. Jesus said, gather up the fragments. Most people say, you know what? I don't want them. And a lot of times I find out there's people we pick up that say the churches just didn't pick us up anymore. We don't know why. They just stopped picking us up. And they're good people. One lady's been riding about over a year now, and just a good lady, but she was thrown away. She was thrown to the side. And another lady we started picking up, same thing. I can think of several people that's been visiting that churches have thrown them away, but it's not our job to throw people away as a church. It's our job to pray for them. It's our job to try to help them, try to get them on their feet spiritually, help them to get back in that Bible and pray. And there's a lot of people out there everywhere. If we go knock doors or we give out tracts, you'll find out there's a lot of fragments. There's people that the church don't want them, the world don't want them anymore. They've sucked them up and threw them out. But Jesus said, gather up the fragments. Don't forget about those fragments.